Yo, crypto in health. You will know how crypto is working in health. We come to you every day with juicy news on wealth, wellness, and well-being. We're broadcasting to you live from 1.4 degrees south of the equator and 37 degrees east of the central meridian. I like to tell you we're right in the cryptographic middle of the world. You're with me, Scholastica Mugi, and I'm coming to you at 1200 hours Coordinated Universal Time, UTC, here on the Ubrican channel. You're just in time, and we're calling you as a new argonaut for Africa to join us in steering the economies of Africa. We're guided by Annlee Saxenian, who described in her book The New Argonauts 2006 about the argonauts who traveled about the diaspora rather who traveled to America and returned from Silicon Valley to their home countries to support new industries in semiconductor. Now, in your case, you don't have to travel back and forth like Saxenian described about the argonauts of the 1990s and before. You let the information tech do the traveling for you through the internet and the blockchain economy, which is the Ubricoin. And this is why we're shilling UBN, because we know it helps you solve two fundamental problems: your retirement funds and education for your offsprings. So, guys, I remind you that each and every single day you find yourself blessed with the gift of life and good health, count yourself very blessed. And at the same time, remember you have a personal responsibility of the self-discipline of washing your hands with soap and water as frequent as possible, and of course you're sanitizing with an alcohol-based sanitizer. You wear your mask every time you're in public, and observing social distancing is very important as we continue to adhere to the guidelines that have been given to us by the World Health Organization as well as the Ministry of Health. And of course, this is for our own gain, to protect ourselves so that we can protect the ones that we love. So, having said that, I want to big up the people who are very amazing: Grace, Naomi, Shiko, Irene, Susan, Barbara, Abed, Evans, Betty, JJ, Jojo, David, Muturu, Miss Kindness for Cherry Productions, Madam Beatrice Morango, Joyce of Seattle, Dr. Steven Karanja, Mr. Mbugwa Kimani, Kimani Kamau, Aglanti Lonperia, Romario, Producer Purity, Tom Pinch 254, Samuel Gatua, Brand Rakoi, Ian Mangi, Jacob Yator, Alche Limo, Eunice, Paul Njoroge, Jane Nelson, The Prince, Chiza, Justin, Mohammed Ali, Global Trader, Ruth Owino, Jane Gashugu, Irene Katon, Engineer Masinga, The Comical Canadian, Mark Waweru, Stephen Opanga, Raja Usman, Veronica Mwangi, Solomon Mushemi, Justus Kimeli, Chiza, Charles Kea, Washira SM Pwani, Jane Washira, Lynn Washira, David Ogutu, Bishop Mackenzie, Isaac Kithua, Miriam Flower, Moses, Mr. Mbudia, Pastor Zippy, Jessica Daniel John, Alpha Nyota, Steve Nyabuto, Jason Gore, Wanjiko Kinuthia, Ibrahim Gitao, Felix, Sherry, Charlie, Fred, George Oduk. Thank you so much, guys, for being here and for being so supportive. Now, let's get inspired from Matthew chapter 6, verse 34. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. That's the word of the Lord. Amen and amen. On our COVID-19 term, we revisit SARS-CoV-2. Next, on our Crypto News segment, we talk about blockchain bringing transparency to the recycling sector. And finally, on Ubrica today, we're tackling the fourth question by Peter Thiel from his book 0 to 1 in order to achieve greater success for our Ubricoin. So let's start with SARS-CoV-2, which stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2. So this is a strain of coronavirus that causes coronavirus disease 2019. That's COVID-19. So definitely SARS-CoV-2 is the respiratory illness that is responsible for this particular pandemic, which we are now knowing it as COVID-19. And for the longest time, it has been with us, and we are just praying to God that we make sure that we don't come into contact with this particular virus. However, so many people around the world have already contracted it, and it is not that does not make you immune if you are still negative for COVID-19. It means that you are only blessed and you need to be taking care of yourself even more. So having said that, data from the Ministry of Health as far as COVID-19 status is concerned here in Kenya, shows that 369,091 have been tested so far. Out of that number, 28,104 have been confirmed as positive. Thankfully, more than half of that number has recovered. That's 14,610 have recovered from that disease, which is really amazing, and we thank God for that. But unfortunately, we have lost 456 lives to COVID-19. So, guys, that is the statistics. And of course, wherever you are, take charge, be in control. Self-discipline is key in ensuring that you prevent COVID-19 from further spreading. We can now cross over to our crypto news segment, and we're looking at news on Cointelegraph by Rachel Wilson. Out with the old, blockchain to bring transparency to recycling sector. Although recycling may seem like a relatively simple concept, the plastics recycling supply chain proves otherwise. From understanding which plastics get recycled to determining the quality of those plastics, these issues and more are resulting in lower recycling participation rates. Statistics show that by 2024, the global recycling market is expected to reach $377 billion. However, plastic waste management has become an issue severely impacting today's environment. Now, for example, the United Nations estimates that about 300 million tons of plastic waste is produced globally each year. Unfortunately, only 9% of that is recycled. UN findings further show that about 12% of waste is burnt into ashes, while the remaining 79% accumulates in landfills, dams, or the natural environment. Now, Stan Chen, CEO of recycling platform RecycleGo, told Cointelegraph that this recycling business is plagued with inefficiencies, a slew of stakeholders, and a lack of digital data. In addition, he believes that what stops the industry from growing is a need for greater supply chain visibility for better decision making. So, while it's clear that recycling systems are rather insufficient, Chen noted that much of this stems from the notion that there isn't enough consumer education or incentives for citizens and business to recycle. On increased transparency in the recycling supply chain, he noted, and I quote, "The more visibility you have in any kind of supply chain, the more you're able to engage in enterprise resource planning, including pricing and purchasing decisions and inventory management, which has a direct impact on protecting your margins and ultimately your value creation as a whole." Now, Executive Michael Peshkam co-authored a report that was shared with Cointelegraph titled "Transforming Plastic Pollution Using Blockchain." Now, the document states how blockchain technology can support a more equitable and sustainable plastics business by bridging the gap between packaging items and the parties that use it. In addition, Lehman explained that blockchain allows parties to share information securely without intermediaries. So this in mind, RecycleGo, which according to Chen is responsible for handling £1 million of recyclables per month, has partnered with enterprise technology firm Deep Dive Technology Group to leverage blockchain for supply chain transparency. So we're looking at what? We're looking at blockchain technology coming in, and recycling companies want to leverage on this particular technology. And the whole goal here is transparency, for the supply chain transparency in the recycling sector, because as we have seen clearly, there's a lot of inefficiency. There's a lot of inefficiency and there's a lack of digital data. So this is really amazing. We can see that everyone wants to move to this particular technology. And as we keep on saying, definitely blockchain is a force to reckon with, and it is definitely going to transform even this particular industry of recycling. So that is really amazing news to hear. And we also want to involve ourselves more and even get a bigger understanding of what this blockchain technology has brought to us. And of course, blockchain money, thanks to blockchain technology, is here with us, letting us know exactly that the future belongs here and the future belongs to cryptos. If you're not in cryptos, then just know that you definitely do not belong to this the crypto nation. So having said that, today guys, we're looking at we're addressing the issue, the question of, do you have the right team? And I just want to show you, I just want to bring this to your attention. I want to read some excerpt from George Gilder, economist, a techno-utopian advocate, and I just want to get this in a minute. Let me get to you something very interesting that I came across. Now, real science shows that the universe is a singularity and thus a creation. Creation is an entropic product of a higher consciousness echoed by human consciousness. The higher consciousness, which throughout human history we have found it conveniently to call God, endows human creators with the space to originate surprising things. Now, another book by George Gilder, known as Knowledge and Power, also states that the heart of capitalist growth, however, is not the mechanistic Homo economicus, but conscious, willful, often altruistic, inventive man. So when we're addressing the question of the people question, we want to look at the people themselves and the people having profound knowledge. And at the heart of this is God, because God is the one that influences everything. So in order for us to have an understanding of how the blockchain money works, we've got to have that profound knowledge that comes from God. And we know that clearly that even DNA, in order for DNA to become protein, definitely you need to have a greater understanding. So in order for a code to become money such as UBN, then we need this profound knowledge. So definitely UBN is high tech and it requires technical competence. So what we're looking at is that the people themselves matter. People who have the technical know-how, it's very important. The technical competence is definitely a requirement. So we definitely look and focus on people who are faithful to the mission. And of course, we're trying to avoid the Homo economicus, as explained to us by George Gilder. And we're looking at this Homo economicus as the people who are not exactly Homo economicus, the people who are very greedy. We're looking at it, people who are filled with they're egocentric, I could say. And so we want to look at people who can look beyond themselves, people who understand the world beyond themselves, and they are generous and committed, purposefully committed to doing what we need to do. So those are the kind of people that we look at as an organization, so that we're able to bring UBN to the place that we've got to bring it to. So thank you so much, guys, for having been here. And we want to appreciate everybody who has a full commitment to doing what we're doing for the Ubricoin, which is establishing all the values, the past value, the present value currently, which is the commodity value in the market, and UBN is currently bullish. So we thank every participant who is joining, who always does whatever they are doing. So these are the kind of people that we focus on, because we know that ultimately they're gonna give us the success, which we call the wealth, the wellness, and the well-being. Having said that, guys, I've got to love you and leave you with a quote from an American writer, Madeleine L'Engle, who says, "We have to be braver than we think we can be, because God is constantly calling us to be more than we are." I have been your girl, Scholastica Mugi, and until tomorrow, it is goodbye for now. Ciao.